and they've had a great morning. They all got to meet their favorite author today, who was kind enough to sign books and take some time out from his busy tour of his newest novel, Endgame. So please welcome our friend and Virginia native, David Baldacci.
Come on down.
Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So Endgame is the new book.
Yes.
We're so excited because you're a Virginia native and you write from the knowledge of having been an attorney.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of crime in this. Tell us more about Endgame.
Yeah, for a lawyer, better or worse, yes, I am. So Roby and Reel, they're two snipers, they're two assassins for the U.S. government. They're overseas on assignment, they're different places. She's a combat sniper in the Middle East, he's in London, he goes into this house in London where a terrorist cell is there, and they both come out alive. And they come back to the United States to find out that their handler and closest confidant of the agency, his code name is Blue Man, has gone missing. He was in eastern Colorado and he has vanished from the face of the earth. He's a very valuable asset to the U.S. government, and they're sent to find him.
We were talking earlier, but my dad, Mark, is a huge fan, has read every single one of your books, so you've just made me the best daughter for his Christmas present.
I'm so glad to do that.
We appreciate that, but I love reading about how you got started, and your mom gave you just a blank journal, somewhat so she could have some peace and quiet for herself.
Yes. When I was 8 years old, I was one of those kids who never shut up. In fact, they started calling me, I grew up on Austin Avenue in Richmond, they called me the Austin Avenue lawyer. Ironically enough, I grew up to be a lawyer because I never shut up. But she gave me a journal, and years later, I came back to her and I said, Mom, thank you so much. It was such a great gift. And she said, honey, I'm so glad it's worked out, but I just wanted to shut you up.
You know? I love that.
So parents, take notes.
I know, I'm like, should I get my son a journal? One thing that's
creativity.
fascinating about you is 45 different languages your books are translated into, 80 countries around the world. And I was recently watching Netflix and I decided to, you can find anything on Netflix, and a soap opera in Africa. And lo and behold, the wife in the soap opera is reading a David Baldacci book. I mean, how does it feel to be a global writing sensation?
Yeah, well, if I've hit the soap opera circuit, I have made it.
You have made it.
I don't have to go any farther. It's really fun. When I go overseas, or I have friends who travel the world, and they send me pictures of my books in those different countries, and they get a real kick out of that. And they send me all the foreign editions, too. So I've got thousands. We would give them to the FBI for the foreign immersion. We give them to colleges, because, I can't read any of them anyway. I don't speak all those languages, but it's really cool to see. And every cover is different. They know their markets over there, so it's really neat to see all the different types of renditions of the books.
Well, and you have one coming out. Who doesn't love? It's this time of year, so it's all the Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes.
And your book, The Christmas Train, is going to be a Hallmark movie, and I love it. It has Dermot Mulroney, who's kind of a staple in the Hallmark movies, Joan Cusack, and Danny Glover.
Yes. It was really cool. They filmed it in August and September in Vancouver. I'm probably one of the few thriller writers to have a movie on the Hallmark Hall of Fame channel. It's a cool little light mystery, but it'll make you smile at the end. I wrote the book years ago. Hallmark did a great job. I was impressed. They sent me the scripts and the cuts and all that, so I got to have input on that. It's very faithful to the book, so that's the best you can hope for. But it really is a great movie.
Well, I always watch. I was like so excited because I watch Hallmark, all of those Christmas movies through January, and then to have our own David Baldacci. How does it feel to come on set? You've been to the show many times, but this time we have fans who are here. Yeah. What are people saying and buzzing about this latest thriller?
Yeah, a lot of people love Roby and Reel. They're co-equals, and maybe she might be a little more dangerous than Will Roby, actually. So, but it's great to get out. I don't have to tour anymore, but I tour so I can meet my fans and readers. I love to interact. I love to take pictures with them. I love them to tell me about the book, what they like, what they don't like. So it's just cool because I write in isolation, so it's nice to get out in front of a lot of people and just have some fun.
How many fans come up to you and be like, why are you doing this to this character? Come on, David.
Too many.
That means they're invested, right?
They are invested.
Well, we mentioned our audience, so we want to invite them to ask some questions. Andy Hauser is with our audience. Andy?
All right, that's right. So Marnie over here is about ready to knock something off her bucket list. She's going to talk to a best-selling author and do it on live television. So you have a question for him, right, Marnie?
Yes. I love these characters in your book, but do you have a new character in mind that you'd like to share with us?
I finished the book for the next spring. It's called The Fallen, and it brings back Amos Decker, my memory man. But after that, I really have been thinking about starting a new series, and starting a new series with a female, just a female lead, which I really haven't done before. I've done a lot of females in my books, None of them are damsels in distress. I don't know any damsels in distress, by the way. So I just know strong, independent women because I sleep with 1.5 for the last 27 years.
Shout out to your wife,
That's right.
Mrs. Baldacci.
Big shout out to Michelle. So I really am thinking about having a female-centric lead in the next series and to make it a series of books, and I'm working on that right now.
Well, how do you get inspired for those particular characters?
I grew up surrounded by strong, independent women. My mother was a force of nature. I was an all-state wrestler and played football in high school and college. And I couldn't beat my mother in arm wrestling until I was 17.
Wow.
She was just like mountain strong woman. And my sister is a journalist and a novelist in her own right. My wife is a force of nature as well. And I really feel comfortable writing about females because I grew up in that atmosphere. My grandmother would live with us for the last 10 years of her life. She was a school teacher and very strong woman. So it's very comfortable. That's my niche.
I wonder if this woman character will be based here in the D.C. area.
The chances are very good that you're going to see some D.C. and Virginia in my books. I like to highlight the area.
All right, Andy?
All right, well, for that strong female character, Andy is a great name, by the way.
Nice.
All right, you have a question as well. What is your question?
Yes, I do. So my question is, what other forms of literature or literary styles inspire you? Who's your favorite author and why?
Ooh.
When I was growing up in high school and college, my favorite author, and he still remains one of my favorite authors, is John Irving. I first encountered him in Cider House Rules, which is a brilliant book and a brilliant movie, although Hollywood left out some more of the significant issues from that novel. But I got a chance to meet him years ago in an event, and my wife was the one who sort of did it because she knew I was a big John Irving fan, and I was too nervous to go over and talk to him. I was a very well-established novelist, but I was like, my God, it's John Irving, I can't do that. And she goes, and so finally she just grabbed me, pulled me over, grabbed Irving, pulled me, she goes, John, David, John, you guys take it from there. And she just walks away. So
Love her.
I love John Irving, and he writes these big, sprawling generational tales, taking on significant issues, but does it with great humor. He's sort of like the Mark Twain of his generation. That is very difficult to do, and a very talented man.
Awesome. Do
That's
we have
fabulous.
another question in
We
the audience?
do. There's one more.
David, I would like to know, did you have a favorite teacher that inspired you when you were growing up?
I had two. The first one, ironically enough, was my 5th grade school teacher. Her name was Mrs. English, believe it or not. And she came to my book signings for years. She passed away a number of years ago, but always loved her. And she did inspire me to read and to write. And this book is dedicated to my college professor, who was the most instrumental mentor, Robert Holsworth from Virginia Commonwealth University. And he was the guy who really pushed me in college to go outside my comfort zone and write about things that maybe I didn't think I could write about. And that book is dedicated to him. So two very fine teachers helped me along the way.
And speaking of inspiration, you and your wife, Michelle, have a foundation to encourage more young people to read and just fall in love with books. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Wish You Well Foundation, our goal is to eradicate illiteracy in the United States, and we've poured millions of dollars into this over the last 16 years. And we also have increased what we do. It's not just about reading books, it's about empowering people, giving them tools they need to be successful in life, to be self-sustaining, support their families. We just had a board of directors meeting a few weeks ago. We authorized $350,000 in grants to 22 organizations spread across 16 states, and we continue to do that year in year, because if you lift everybody up, then the world is a better place. And reading is the key skill you need to have, but there are other skills that we like to encourage through the Wish You Well Foundation. We're just trying to make life better for everybody.
We love having you here, but where else can people come out and meet you?
I'm going to be at Jam and Java in Vienna, Virginia. It's a really cool musical hangout.
nice.
Yes.
Bard's Alley is a brand new independent bookstore in Vienna. I love independent bookstores, so I wanted to support them and their launch. The store wasn't big enough to hold everybody who's going to be coming, so we're going to do it at Jam and Java, and that's this weekend.
Well, we love that place. So it's been on the show. You guys check out David Baldacci. The new book is called Endgame. He's a friend of the show, and now you can meet him at Jam and Java, get good coffee and good literature.
Thank you to our Baldacci fans for being here. You guys are awesome, David. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.